Before they stepped behind the pulpit, these 100 Nigerian pastors each had a life before the pulpit. Some were doctors, lawyers, musicians, or teachers. But one calling changed everything. Let's discover what they were doing before the ministry began. At number 100, Prophet Timothy Funsho Akonde of Christ Apostolic Church, Oke Baba Abiye Ede, started out as a trader and community leader. His early involvement with people's daily struggles gave him the grassroots and experience that later defined his pastoral calling. At number 99, Prophet Hezekiah Oladeji, now the General Evangelist of Christ Apostolic Church, CAC. Prophet Hezekiah Oladeji once worked as a farmer and businessman. His humble beginnings in agriculture shaped his rugged and practical approach to ministry. At number 98, Reverend Israel Christilere, pastor of Shepherd Fields Baptist Church in Lagos. Reverend Christy was first a lecturer and seminary teacher. His intellectual background continues to reflect in his structured sermons and Baptist leadership. At number 97, Pastor Larry Olusheye, founder of Harvest House Christian Center in Ibadan. Pastor Olusheye worked as a university lecturer before transitioning into ministry. His passion for young people has made him a strong voice in youth evangelism. At number 96, Pastor Yemi Davids, the senior pastor of Global Impact Church. Pastor Davids began as a teacher and motivational speaker. His background in leadership training heavily influenced his motivational style of preaching. At number 95, Pastor Wale Adefarasin of Guiding Light Assembly trained and worked as an engineer before answering the call. His methodological and disciplined approach reflects his engineering roots. At 94, Bishop Charles Akinyasari. Bishop Charles' ministry has touched millions in Nigeria. Before his calling, he was a businessman until a radical encounter with faith shifted his path to evangelism. At 93, Pastor Kunle Ajayi, known globally for his saxophone and music ministry in RCCG. Pastor Ajayi was a professional musician and music teacher before he became one of the most recognized worship ministers in Nigeria. At 92, Apostle Joshua Selman. Before his rise as a renowned apostle, Apostle Joshua Selman studied and worked quietly in youth ministry and campus fellowships, eventually founding Eternity Network International (ENI), where he focuses on deep prophetic teachings and revival. At 91, Bishop Bolanle Bonigi, the Anglican cleric. Bishop Boniki's early years as a teacher, a strong educational background made him a respected leader in both church and society. At 90, Reverend David Adenodi of CAC Abalora, Ibadan, lived a simple life as a farmer and trader before ministry. His rural background helped him connect with ordinary people in his later years as a church leader. At 89, Pastor Chris Morgan, known widely as a gospel singer and songwriter. Pastor Morgan first built a career in music before founding End Time Souls Winners Global Ministry. His talent for worship became the foundation of his calling. At 88, Pastor Mark Miracle, the overseer of City of Miracles International, began his life as a businessman. His entrepreneurial drive carried him into the ministry, where he established a fast-growing congregation. At 87, Reverend Gideon Paramalam, a well-known peace advocate in northern Nigeria. Reverend Paramalam worked as a teacher and missionary before focusing fully on pastoral leadership and interfaith dialogue. At 86, Pastor Chintok Ishaku, founder of God Life Assembly in Jos. Pastor Ishaku first made his name as a worship leader and singer. His music background remains central to his ministry today. At 85, Apostle Arome Osai, founder of Remnant Christian Network. Apostle Osai studied chemistry and worked briefly in the corporate world before turning into ministry. His analytical mind influences his deep teaching style. At 84, Prophet Michael Olowore, the late prophet of CAC Okeayedu, Ibadan, started off as a trader. He rose to become one of the most respected revivalists in the CAC movement. At 83, Bishop Mike Adebomowo, founder of El Shaddai Bible Church. Bishop Adebomowo trained and worked as an architect. His ministry later combined creativity with strong organizational skills. At 82, Bishop Peace Okonkwo, co-pastor of TREM, alongside her husband, Bishop Mike Okonkwo. Bishop Peace worked as an administrator and businesswoman before embracing pastoral ministry. At 81, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Before serving as Nigeria's vice president, Professor Osinbajo was a professor of law and a senior advocate of Nigeria. His legal career ran side by side with his ordination as a pastor in RCCG. At number 80, Pastor Alex Adeboye, founder of Stone Church in Ibadan. Pastor Adeboye trained as an engineer before stepping into ministry. His logical and structured preaching style reflects his engineering background. At 79, Bishop Tom Sampson of Christ Royal Family International Church began as a teacher and businessman. His flamboyant lifestyle and energetic preaching later made him one of Lagos' most visible pastors. At 78, Bishop Sam Zuga, known as Jehovah's Field Marshal of House of Joy Ministry, started life as a teacher and businessman before entering the call to ministry. At 77, Reverend Dr. Felix Obumude, General Superintendent of New Covenant Gospel Church. Reverend Obumude began as a teacher before becoming one of Benson Idahosa's most trusted prodigies and later a national Christian leader. At 76, Bishop Humphrey Eromaka, founder of Word of Life Assembly. Bishop Eromaka was a teacher and lecturer before ministry. His background in education still drives his mentorship programs. At 75, Bishop Emma Gospel Isong, overseer of Christian Central Chapel International. Bishop Isong worked as a lecturer and broadcaster before he embraced full-time ministry. At 74, Bishop Charles Igele, leader of Holy Spirit Mission, also known as Happy Family Center. Bishop Igele began his career as a teacher before becoming a prominent family life preacher. At 73, Pastor Chika Nnamdi Onuzo, founder of Resurrection House of All Nations in the USA. Pastor Onuzo trained as a scientist and teacher before starting his global ministry outreach. At 72, Pastor David Adeoye, senior pastor of Salvation Ministries in Port Harcourt. Pastor Adeoye worked in the banking and industry sector and as a business consultant before establishing his church. At 71, Prophet Samuel Oshofa, the founder of Celestial Church of Christ. Prophet Oshofa was once a carpenter and trader. His humble trade background contrasted with the massive global spread of the CCC movement. At 70, Reverend Moses Orimolade, founder of the Cherubim and Seraphim movement. Reverend Orimolade was once a farmer and an apprentice to an herbalist. His early rural experiences shaped the indigenous revivalist movement he later led. At 69, Archbishop Alfred Adewale Martins, now the Catholic Archbishop of Lagos. Archbishop Martins first worked as a teacher before entering the seminary and rising through the Catholic Church hierarchy. At 68, Reverend Felix Medoye, a former general overseer of the Foursquare Gospel Church in Nigeria. Reverend Medoye trained as an accountant before fully committing to ministry. At 67, Reverend Umar Obai, one of Nigeria's most respected evangelists, was trained as an engineer before his calling took him into a nationwide crusade and healing ministry. At 66, Bishop Matthew Hazan Kuka, Bishop of Sokoto Diocese. Bishop Kuka worked as a teacher before going into Catholic seminary training. Today, he is known for both his religious and political influence in Nigeria. At 65, Reverend Father Emmanuel Ede, a Catholic priest and founder of Madonna University. Reverend Father Ede worked as a missionary teacher before establishing one of Nigeria's most influential private universities. At 64, Reverend Ejike Mbaka, leader of the Adoration Ministry in Enugu. Reverend Father Mbaka was once a businessman and singer before his ordination as a Catholic priest. At 63, Bishop Emmanuel Nuhu Kure, founder of Throne Room Trust Ministries in Kafanchan. Bishop Kure worked as a university lecturer before moving fully into ministry and intercession. At 62, Bishop Abraham Chibundu, founder of Voice of Freedom Ministries. Bishop Chibundu started as a trader and businessman before becoming one of Nigeria's popular revival preachers. At 61, Bishop Leonard Umuna, residing Bishop of Bible Life Church. Bishop Umuna began life as a trader before he shifted into pastoral work. His grassroots orientation helped his ministry rapid growth. At 60, Pastor Paul Eneche, founder of the Dunamis International Gospel Center. Dr. Paul Eneche was a trained medical doctor before leaving medicine to answer the call of God. At 59, Pastor Becky Eneche of Dunamis. Dr. Becky Eneche was also once a medical doctor before going into full-time ministry alongside her husband. At 58, Archbishop Margaret Idahosa, the widow of the late Archbishop Benson Idahosa. She once worked as a teacher before assuming leadership of Church of God Mission International. At 57, Reverend Chris Okotie, now the flamboyant pastor of Household of God Church. Reverend Okotie was once a popular Nigerian pop musician in the 1980s. At 56, Prophet Isaiah Wells, founder of Gospel Pillars International. Prophet Wells was a businessman and author before establishing his ministry. At 55, Pastor Lazarus Moka, General Overseer of the Lord's Chosen Charismatic Revival Ministries. Pastor Moka worked as a businessman before starting his church in Lagos. At 54, Pastor Joseph Ayo Babalola, the legendary founder of Christ Apostolic Church CAC. Joseph Babalola was a stream roller operator before becoming one of Nigeria's great revivalists. At 53, Bishop Sam Amaga, founder of Salem International Christian Center. Bishop Amaga worked as a pharmacist before answering his divine call to ministry. Bishop Sam Amaga, founder of Salem International Christian Center. At 52, Reverend Emmanuel Osset, senior pastor of Christian Pentecostal Mission. He worked in government service before entering ministry. Pastor Sam Adeyemi, founder of Daystar Christian Center. Pastor Adeyemi studied engineering and worked briefly in administration before answering his call. At 48, Pastor Tony Rapu, founder of This Present House. Pastor Rapu was a medical doctor who practiced medicine before going into ministry. Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo, founder of COSA, Commonwealth of Zion Assembly. Pastor Fatoyinbo was a fashion designer and an entrepreneur before starting his church. At 45, Archbishop Nicholas Oko, former primate of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion. Archbishop Oko was a soldier in the Nigerian army before entering the priesthood. At 44, Bishop Wale Oke, founder of Sword of the Spirit Ministries. Bishop Oke was a university lecturer before fully stepping into ministry. At 43, Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo, founder of Kingsway International Christian Center, KICC London. He trained as a soldier in the Nigerian army before being called to preach. At 42, Archbishop Joseph Ojo, founder of Calvary Kingdom Church. Archbishop Ojo worked as a civil servant before becoming a pastor. At 41, Pastor Joshua Iginla, founder of Champions Royal Assembly. He was an artist and businessman before his pastoral calling. At 40, Pastor Okechukwu Chinedum, overseer of Omega Fire Ministries, Lagos branch. He worked in telecommunications before entering ministry. At 39, Bishop John Praise Daniel, preceding Bishop of Dominion Chapel International Churches. He was a military officer in the Nigerian Army before becoming a pastor. At 38, Pastor Benga Osho, founder of Lateran Assembly UK branch. Before moving on to start Liberty House, he worked as an IT consultant before ministry. At 37, Pastor Femi Emmanuel, founder of Living Spring Chapel International. He was a professional engineer and one-time politician before entering ministry. Archbishop John Osawani, founder of Vineyard Christian Ministries. He was a businessman before becoming one of Nigeria's respected Pentecostal leaders. At 35, Bishop David Abioi, Vice President of Living Faith Church Worldwide. Bishop Abioi was a mechanical engineer and lecturer before joining Bishop Oyedepo in ministry. At 34, Pastor David Ibiyomi, founder of Salvation Ministries. He studied and worked in business before receiving his pastoral call. At 33, Pastor Paul Adefarasin, founder of House on the Rock. He was an architect before going into full-time ministry. Bishop Mike Okonkwo, founder of the Redeemed Evangelical Mission, TREM. He was a banker before becoming a pastor. At 31, Pastor William Kumuyi, founder of Deeper Life Bible Church. Pastor Kumuyi was a first-class graduate of mathematics and the university lecturer at the University of Lagos before his calling. At 30, Pastor Tunde Bakare, founder of Citadel Gospel Community Church. Pastor Bakare was a successful lawyer before becoming a fiery preacher. At 29, Bishop Simeon Oka, founder of Flock of Christ Mission. He was a teacher before becoming a pastor. At 28, Pastor E.A. Adeboye, General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. Pastor Adeboye was a mathematics lecturer and university professor before being called to ministry. At 27, Bishop David Oyedepo, founder of Living Faith Church, Winners Chapel. He trained as an architect before rising as one of the most influential pastors in Africa. At 26, Pastor Chris Oyakilome,
founder of Christ Embassy Believers Loved World. He studied architecture before going into ministry. At 25, Pastor Daniel Olawande, popularly known as P. Daniel. He studied microbiology before answering the call and now leads the Youth Revival movement under RCCG. At 24, Pastor Kisiena Isiri. Before ministry, he worked as a medical doctor but later became a full-time pastor known for his healing and teaching services. At number 23, Pastor Jimmy Odukoya. Before stepping into ministry, he was an actor and motivational speaker, later becoming the lead pastor of Fountain of Life Church after his father's passing. At 22, Pastor Femi Lazarus. He was a medical doctor before entering the call to ministry and founding the Sphere of Light Church. At 21, Pastor Taribo West. Before ministry, he was a famous Nigerian international footballer known for his strong defensive play and colorful hairstyle. At 20,
Apostle Johnson Suleiman.
Before his calling, he worked as a journalist and was deeply involved in reporting before fully devoting himself to ministry. At 19, Pastor Joshua Talena. Before his ministry, he was a gospel singer and youth mobilizer, using music and outreach to inspire young people. Before founding Shepherd's House Assembly. At 18, Pastor Gideon Danjuma. He began as a passionate youth leader and prayer coordinator before stepping fully into pastoral ministry. At 17, Pastor Poju Oyemade. Before ministry, he worked as a broadcaster and communicator. He later went on to found Covenant Christian Center in Lagos. At 16, Pastor Ayo Orisejefo. Before his calling, he was a student of theology in the US and briefly worked in media, later becoming the founder of Word of Life Bible Church and a former president of PFN. At 15, Pastor Issa El Buba. Before his call to ministry, Issa El Buba was first a professional footballer and later ventured into business. He eventually answered the call of God and founded EBOMI, Evangelical Bible Outreach Ministries International. At 14, Pastor Sunday Adelaja, a Nigerian-born pastor based in Ukraine, founded the Embassy of the Blessed Kingdom of God for All Nations in Kyiv, which became one of Europe's largest churches led by an African. At 13, Prophet Oyeleke Owolabi, General Overseer of Christ Mercy Land Deliverance Ministries, recognized for his healing and prophetic ministry that draws thousands across Nigeria. At number 12, Pastor Delvan Guama, founder of House of Purpose Ministry International, is known for his dynamic preaching and strong emphasis on purpose-driven living. At number 11, Pastor Dunsin Onyeko, gospel singer and worship leader. Pastor Dunsin, popularly called the Eagle, is known for spirit-filled songs like Fragrance to Fire and Open Up, using music as his platform for ministry. At number 10, Pastor Emmanuel Irene, founder of Celebration Church International. Pastor Irene is known for his dynamic preaching, songwriting, and emphasis on sound doctrine. At number 8, Pastor Sam Oye. Before founding the Transformation Church in Abuja, Sam Oye worked as a public administrator and leadership consultant, helping organizations develop strategies for growth before fully embracing his calling. At number 7, Pastor Jerry Eze. Before answering the call to ministry, Jerry Eze worked as a communication specialist with the United Nations and also served as a pastor under All Saints Chapel, University of Nigeria Nsukka, before founding Streams of Joy International. At number 6, Pastor Bolaji Idowu. Before starting Harvesters International Christian Center, Bolaji Idowu studied accounting and worked briefly in the corporate sector until his passion for soul winning and youth ministry led him fully into pastoral work. At number 5, Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo. Before founding David's Christian Center, Kingsley Okonkwo was a youth leader and counselor focusing on guiding singles and young people in relationship matters before fully stepping into ministry. At number 3, Pastor Godman Akinlabi. Before his calling, Godman Akinlabi worked as an engineer and management consultant before becoming the lead pastor of the Elevation Church. At number 2, Pastor Flourish Peters. Before stepping into ministry, Flourish Peters was a businessman and entrepreneur before founding the Logic Church, where he emphasizes grace, faith, and the finished work of Christ.
At number 1, Pastor Dave Heman Aka. Pastor Dave was an architect by training before answering the call of God. For more informative and interesting content, follow, like, and share. Thank you.